3, 2, 1.
3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, Matt Bailey here, Branch Director for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I just want to break down some basics for us on this channel for a moment. We often delve into sort of different cask types and different releases coming through the society, some of the goodies coming through each month, but something we don't often touch on is some of the real basics of whiskey. We did a great video which you can check out on our channel about the differences between blended whiskey, blended malts, single cask, that kind of thing. But I also want to touch on today about some of the basics of the production aspect. It's not something we focus in on at the society. We're very good at the maturation side of things. We are not distillers. However, it's always good to remind ourselves about what whiskey is and what those main ingredients of whiskey are. So in a nutshell, barley. For a single malt whiskey, we're going to touch on, first of all, malted barley. And that's what we have here. You can taste it. It tastes like a malted milkshake. It tastes like Wheat Bix, Ovaltinis. It tastes like malt. It tastes like malted barley, and so it has that sort of like whole grain Wheat Bix kind of note to it. It's a grain, of course, and it's the malted version of this grain. So if you take raw barley and you have it malted here, you're starting with malted barley. The second main ingredient is, of course, water. Barley, water, and the third one is, of course, yeast. I don't have live yeast strains on this table in front of me, but there are three main core ingredients of a single malt whiskey. It's the other three ingredients as well on top of that. That's, of course, the cask, the time in the wood, and the people. So it's the cask is the other part. So with those three ingredients are turned into a wash, are turned into essentially you're making a beer. You're then distilling it, and you're creating a new make spirit. I'm going to pour a bit of new make here. New make, the still, the whiskey that comes off the still, the new make spirit that comes off the still, comes off completely clear, or at least it should. This one here I'm nosing is about 72.2% ABV, so it comes off the still after that second distillation really high, usually somewhere between 70 to 90% ABV. It's then casked, often casked, depending on distillery, at a lower proof below that, so it's usually casked at somewhere between, depending on distillery, 55 to 63.5% ABV. It then matures in a cask, of course, for a number of years, decades, and is then it's managed by people. So it's those extra three ingredients that people often get in whiskey: barley, water, yeast, cask, time, and people. It's the people, the hands that it takes to make. This is essentially, whiskey is an agricultural product. It doesn't make itself. It requires a bit of hard labor to actually get going. It also requires the people to do so, the casks for it to age in, the different wood types, French oak, American oak, European oak, Australian oak, whatever it is. There's not much Australian oak. And then, and of course, the time in cask. You can't skip time. I've tried all sorts of hypersonic aged whiskies and all sorts of experimentations. None of them really have ever hit the mark. You can't skip the time. You can't cheat the time. So what I do encourage you to do every so often, if you can, try some malted barley. Actually get a sense of the taste of it and understand what some of the raw ingredients that go into making this Ushkabetha, this water of life, this wonderful amber liquid we all know as whiskey. Of course, malted barley only really applies to predominantly single malt whiskey. If you're talking other spirit types like brandies, which are wine, or bourbons, which are corn, etc. But we're focusing on single malt this time and some of the raw, just basic ingredients and rundown of what it is. I hope that helps. I hope that helps part of your whiskey journey and helps you learn a few more things about whiskey on this journey. And I hope to see you at one of our society events, one of our more sort of maybe 101 events where you can learn way more about this in depth. Often we have guest distillers and guest people from production talking at some of our events in the past as well, which has been great. So come for the journey. See you all soon, and Slán Java.